So we're looking at here with John Dean, big time Medicare Advantage producer, $91,588 in mostly residual commissions for life created in the last 7 weeks during AEP 2021. Over 400 appointments completed in AEP, of which he converted 2 out of 3 of those approximately into sales. This man is a Medicare Advantage producing machine. And the reason I've got him on here today is to give you the entirety from tip to lip on how John's sales and marketing system works, because he has major goals that he's going to tell you about. $1 million in residual income over the next 5 years he's going to hit. And we're going to go into a complete breakdown about how his prospecting system works, his lead generation system works, certainly his presentation, his retention plan, very important with Medicare. So if you're at all interested in selling Medicare, especially you guys out there who I know you're with some agencies out there that don't do Medicare, you need to listen up, because building passive income is a real thing you can do in this business. And it absolutely is something you need to spend time doing. So John Dean is here. Welcome, John.
Hello.
Thanks for being here, John.
Yeah.
So let's jump in. So first, tell the audience a little bit about your career arc, getting into insurance sales, and eventually how you got into Medicare.
Well, I've always been in sales. I've been in the car industry for 20 years before I got into the insurance business. So I've always been a salesman of some kind. Then I jumped into selling insurance. I started kind of in final expense with a lot with Dave. And then one day Dave said, I remember him saying, he said, if I could do it all over again, I would just do Medicare. And so I took that to heart and started doing Medicare, and just dove into it. Last year was my first AEP. And then this last year was my first full year solely going after Medicare Advantage. Of course, if I came across a final expense policy, I would pick it up, but mainly focusing on Medicare Advantage.
Right. And you wrote, including AEP, 565 plans for your first full year in the business, which is incredible. So, what about Medicare attracts you? Why? I know you kind of talked about it briefly, but just kind of expand kind of why you made that decision to go full time into Medicare as being your full kind of focus product strategy.
Sure. Yeah. The main reason is the residuals. The residuals come on a lifetime basis. So as long as that policy is alive or still with that client, they're going to pay you a residual every single year. It's going to be the exact same amount that you got paid on, or it'll go up through the year, but it'll be the first year commission over the full year.
Right. So in other words,
value, you can build a salary.
Yeah.
Where in the insurance business, it's really hard to get on a salary. You can build your own salary this way.
So the idea that you have in so many words is this: with Medicare, you can be paid for work you did years ago in the past, essentially, right?
Right.
And that's kind of the big pitch with Medicare. If you guys aren't sure about or have any kind of idea how Medicare works, as opposed to like life insurance, like mortgage protection or final expense, those products are great to start with, as they pay a lot of money up front, especially if you like the need to get paid yesterday. Mortgage protection, final expense, those are all great products to start with. But many of us get attracted to this business not because of the grind and staying on the hamster wheel, like a good friend of the business, Christopher Westfall, says, but it's actually having residual income, making money, and not necessarily having to actively work to earn it because you've already put the work in years ago. And Medicare is one of those things that really gives you access to a truly passive income model. Right. And we'll hit on why that's, the case versus other products like property and casualty is supposedly passive. I would argue it's not totally passive. So as far as how you sell this stuff, so guys, like I said earlier, we're going to go through all the different components of how John's sales and marketing system works. But one of the things nowadays with COVID and there's been a big shift in the perception of what you can do as far as selling. There's a lot of agents now that get into insurance sales and that do remote work, or they sell on Zoom, or they sell over the phone. But there's a lot of agents that still sell face to face and argue that it's just as good, if it's not been even better than post pandemic. So, if you could, John, kind of tell us what you do as far as your strategy goes and why you do either face to face or telesales over the other.
Well, I do face to face sales really only. I mean, I've done a handful of telesales, but I mean, I'm good at face to face. One of the main reasons why I don't like doing it over the phone is because I have a learning disability. I am dyslexic, and it's very, very hard for me to spell things, especially medications. So my whole thing is I need to be in front of that senior to be able to look at the medications, be able to load them in. Also, I mean, I've got over 20 years of experience selling a product in front of somebody face to face with the car industry that I was with. And so I can read people really well. I've learned how to, I mean, really read their expressions and everything else. And I like being in front of them. I mean, that's just, I'm a better salesman when I'm in front of them. I feel though also that when you're with that client in the first, that when you're sitting down with them face to face, probably majority of them that you'll sit down with probably have done their Medicare over the phone with somebody. They'll never get the same person. When you can go in and you can tell them that you can be their guy if you get a problem with something or have a question on something. You're the local guy. They're going to stick with you a lot longer than that person that was over the phone. They don't have anything connecting to them with their agent that was over the phone. When they have somebody live that they can speak to, like myself.
Could you speak on that a little bit? Because I believe, and I think you would agree, most of the people buying policies over the phone are doing so from very large call centers, right? It's not independent agents like you who have a multitude of carriers and actually build a relationship. It's a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, never heard from again.
Right.
What's the experience like, or what's the problem with the call center strategy? Like, maybe I've already let the cat out of the bag, but in your experience talking to these people, what's their issues with their plans as to how they were sold over the phone? What are some common issues that you run into when a call center sells them a policy?
I run into a lot of them that they didn't check their doctors, and they're having to switch doctors all of a sudden.
Really?
And they didn't realize that. Or all of a sudden their medications spike in cost because they didn't check their medications. A lot of your call centers will not check doctors. They're to make sure that they're in the network,
Really?
and even medications. So you get a senior that has been with the same doctor for 30 something years. They're not wanting to switch their doctors.
Right.
When they can talk to someone like myself and make sure that all their doctors are in network, make sure all their medications is in formulary, and that there's not going to be any surprises. And if there is a surprise, they can pick up the phone and call me. And if I need to go to them, I can go to them.
Right.
Because I'm their local guy.
I think that's one cool thing about a face-to-face, certainly an independent agent strategy, is that the service element is what makes you win in this business over the big guys. And if you actually give a damn and want to help your clients and sit down and listen to them about what their hot button issues are and walk through, like, they'll be clients with you for life because they're not getting this, guys. Like, it's call centers. So many of these organizations are moving to this mass call center strategy that's just devoid of service. And it's just, you pump out whatever one or two products you have and hope for the best. It's just a losing strategy, which is why the independent strategy works so well. So it's just cool to hear. I want you to speak, if you don't mind, going back to the telesales aspect a little bit. Again, a lot of my agents on here who are watching are doing face-to-face or telesales. And a lot of them are thinking about doing one or the other. And some of them are doing telesales or thinking about doing telesales. What you did a little bit of telesales. in final expense. Can you kind of speak to that, what that experience is like? I know this is about Medicare, but again,
Yeah.
a lot of people are thinking about where am I going to go? How am I going to run this business? What's the experience been like for you?
When I was in when I did it in telesales.
Yeah, sure.
So when I was selling final expense over the phone, it was when the pandemic kind of first started really heating up. And it kind of scared me to where I thought maybe this is my only option if I'm going to stay in the insurance business. I'm going to have to do it over the phone until at least the pandemic over. And it's still not over yet. And it's 12/17 to 21. The you know, my it was harder. Of course, you can't read people. You can't read their emotions, and that's what I like. I mean, you are asking a lot of personal questions, like account numbers and everything over the phone. There's a lot of people that are very hesitant to give anybody any kind of information. You'll have to gather social security numbers and things like that over the phone when you're building that application up. And they have to really trust the other person on the phone. And there's a lot of people out there that won't trust people over the phone. And I mean, I agree with them. I probably would never give my social security number out over the phone or my bank account number over the phone. And I hope my mom and dad don't. So,
Right.
um,
Let me ask about this too. Speaking of COVID, again, some agents are, especially new ones that don't have experience, express concern about the pandemic. How much of this has been an issue for you this year? It's still, again, so 2021. You've written a lot of policies. I don't know how big of an issue it is, but kind of if you could parlay your experience, how common of an issue was it for prospects to be concerned about COVID, and how did you handle it? Kind of give us your thoughts and experiences there.
so yeah, this last year, I mean, it was pretty easy getting into homes. You'd have people that were concerned about it, and we would tell them that, hey, I would wear a mask. We could do it outside. I bring lawn chairs. Um, but really, there wasn't a whole lot of resistance. I mean, there really wasn't. I mean, if you called, you had the card that they sent in. You told them who you were. You live there in the town that they live in, or you do business in the town that they live in. They're going to let you in. Typically, there's a lot of people that wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but there's a handful of people that was too scared to meet with me because of the pandemic.
Sure.
And since I do it over the phone, that was a lost lead, basically.
Right.
I didn't do anything with them.
But you're not seeing some major like shift against a normal in-person presentation with the pandemic so far this year. And we've had the Delta variant spike up and concerns come back, and this hasn't been that big. But go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we really haven't gotten a lot of pushback, and it might be the communities that I'm working. I'm in Kansas, and my areas that I work is Wichita, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, moving into Springfield, Missouri next year.
Okay.
And then possibly Arkansas later on in the year. In my areas, it's not that big of a deal. In some areas that I could see it probably could be. I mean, maybe if you lived in New York or California, or, where it's. Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I would say this too. I think this is the double-edged sword of the pandemic. Yes, some people are worried, but then again, them being worried makes us want to buy more of this stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want to make sure they got good health insurance. I want to make sure they got life insurance, right? So it kind of helps us as more than anything. So yeah. I mean, I think that's worth remembering, So if you guys are concerned out there face to face, John's not the only one. Just because he's in the middle of the country doesn't change it. He talks to hundreds upon hundreds of people and still makes something out of this. And it's likely that pretty much everywhere is going to have some, I think. And that's been my experience talking to my agents. Anyways, let's kind of transition to the actual process again, just to remind the audience, you wrote 265 new deal or 265 policies during 2021 AEP. You're at 54 of those are new to Medicare Advantage. And then, the
You said
rest were,
265?
265 were
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
new to you, but 54 of those never had one before. So there's a little bit of
Yeah.
extra commission bump there in the first year.
Right.
Let's take us through the whole process here. Again, with the goal of the audience, just totally understanding all that you do to make this work. So how do your lead programs work? Give us the scoop on your preferred sources of leads, how you originated them, and why you like them.
So my first lead source is, well, my favorite is 360 Financial Leads. It's you get onto a program with 360 Financial, which is our
it's our organization that we're
Yeah.
associated with that we help our agents get leads with.
And they're the LIS lead, and they are you can get on a program if you produce heavy enough, like I do. A lot of your leads are paid for, so 360 picks up the bill for them. Now there are you do have to pay a little bit for the leads if you're not producing well or enough. But a lot of those leads come to me free, and they're the best leads in the business. They're the card that they send back, that they have to send back.
Why do you think why would you call them the best leads? Can you give us some reasons why?
On the low, it says hey, fill out this card if you're interested in the Medicare savings program that can get you back the $148.50 that you're paying for your Part B. So the client, and you can help them with getting basically $150 back in their Social Security every month. So that type of lead, they see that and they're going to fill it out and send it back in, see what it's all about.
So it gives you good response rates. People are definitely always interested to get free money.
Yeah.
That ain't ever going to change. So, so again, for the audience here, why do we care about helping them with free money? Like, how does this tie into a Medicare Advantage plan?
Well, then, if you go over how they can get their Part B back or paid for by the state or partial of it, then at that time you have the ability to look at their Medicare, make sure they're on the best program they can be on. If they, if we're not in an enrollment period at that time with that particular client, and you do get them qualified to get the $148.50 back, then at that time it opens up a enrollment period and at that time, then you can make them your client and write them a policy.
So it just this is kind of the bait in a sense, quote unquote, to get in the door, talk about something. And, oh, by the way, help them with their Medicare and save them more money, reducing co-pays or giving them added benefits, that kind of thing. Okay.
Helping them on prescription drug cost.
Right. Right. Cool. And you and I also were talking about carrier co-ops, getting additional leads there. Tell us about that.
So I have a lot of, since I'm a big producer, I guess you could call me. A lot of the carriers will co-op with you. Where you might be looking at a certain county in a certain area, and let's say a certain carrier has several planes in that carrier or in that county. You can ask them, hey, I'm going to be dropping in that county. Can you help me on the cost of it? And I've gotten, most of the time they're gonna tell me yes, but because I'm a producer for them, and if you start producing for them, I'm sure they'll co-opt with you.
Yeah. Pro tip to all you agents out there: if you're writing 100, 200 plans a month or year, talk to your regional reps, ask for their money. They got a budget. They need to spend it on something. Why not spend it on people actually do something, right? Yeah. So you should be asking for that, because a lot of these insurance companies are made of money, and they've got a marketing budget that they can help their good agents out with. So always remember to utilize that.
Yeah, going into AEP, we spent roughly about 20 outside of 360 leads that I was getting. I spent roughly about 25 grand, but half of that was my own money.
Right.
The rest was carrier money. co-opting with me going into AEP.
Cool. Cool. So you got the leads, they come in, you receive them. How do you set or run appointments? Do you door knock the leads? Do you set the appointments? What's your strategy?
So our strategy is what we call them. We set the appointment with them. When I'm in the field, I want a minimum of 10 appointments a day. And we set them on the hour, every hour. So that's kind of the strategy. I want 10 to 12 a day. I've got an appointment setter / manager that runs everything else. He's probably he's my only appointment setter at this time that I've ever had, and he's very, very good. I wouldn't have had the AEP I had without him, because I would only be probably in the field 4 days a week and then door knocking on my dial days. So our strategy is basically we book 10 to 12, and then we have door knocks throughout the day. So if I get stood up at a time, I have plenty of door knocks that I can hit if I'm not being lazy that time.
Right.
And the door knocks that I want, typically what I do, kind of my tip for everybody, and if I love apartment complexes, I love trailer parks, but if I am running, doing door knocks, I actually want houses, because I know if I get stood up in an hour, I've got 3 door knocks that I could probably get through before my next appointment.
Right.
And out of that 3, I should be able to get into 1.
Right.
And so it's more of a timing for me. I don't, if it's an apartment complex, it takes too long of a time to find that apartment number or that trailer number. That's why we book when we're scheduling door knocks, we're scheduling houses. That way I can get there. If they're not there, I can go to the next one. If they're not there, I can get to the next one. And then if I get into that next one, that last one, I still have enough time to complete theirs probably, or maybe be a little late to the next one.
Gotcha. Cool.
If that makes sense.
So when you're when you're appointment setter's calling, how much, if any, qualifying is taking place? What's your strategy?
We really don't qualify very much. We only want to make sure that they have a red, white, and blue card, and they have A and B. So, hey, Miss Betty, I just want to make sure that you do have your red, white, and blue card, your Medicare card, and you have A and B. That's basically our only qualification. If they have Medicare, I want to be in the home.
Right. So you're not asking about, do you have X company or Y company or anything like that. You're just, you're wanting to get in front of them as long as they got Medicare. Cool. Okay. So you're in the house, you're sitting down with the prospect. What do you do first? And where do you take the thing to the ultimate conclusion of closing them?
Sure. So when I go into a home, I spend very little time building rapport at the beginning. I want them to know that I'm there for business, and I'm there to help them. So basically, when I walk into a home, the first thing, and I said, I don't care if I'm at the table or if I'm on the couch. It's wherever they feel comfortable with. And I know a lot of agents say, hey, I got to have a table. Where's your table? Wherever they're comfortable at, I'm going. I want the TV off or on mute, and I'll let them know if it's on, that this is important, that I think we should turn the TV off or put it on mute.
Yeah, didn't you interrupt some guy watching a football game?
Yeah, I turned the OU game off because the remote control was in front of me, and it was OU's first game. So,
what was his reaction?
He sat there and he just let me do it.
I don't know if you can pull that off down here in Alabama. You know, you might get your hand torn off, but you got to do what you got to do. Hey, they set the time. Yeah. You know, they sent the card in.
Yeah. But it's first, kind of the first thing that I walk in, and it's hey, Miss Betty, I just need to get your red, white, and blue card, and then your current plan that you're on. If you can get that for me, I'd appreciate it. And then while they're getting that, I'm getting everything ready for getting my scope appointment out. and sliding it in front of them. If I'm using a certain program to do the scope of appointment, I'm loading all of that in because I have a program that we do our scope of appointments on now that logs it. And I'm getting that ready. And then I start asking them questions, why they filled the card out. Start asking them, how's their health? What is your main concern on your current health plan now? What you would change about it possibly. Kind of every situation is different. And a lot of times the senior's going to start telling you.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, I'm getting charged for this medication over this medication. I'm having to pay $45 to see my specialist, and I got 6 or 7 specialists that I have to pay, and I can't afford to go to my doctor anymore because it's $45 every time, or it's this or that. So, it kind of every situation is a little different, but see here. After I get their cards, I get them to sign the scope appointments. I go right into their medications and their doctors, load them all into my program, and then really I build rapport out of the knowledge that I know. And when they're there and they're talking to me, they know that I know about Medicare. They just by the way the type of language that I use, the questions that I'm asking them,
right.
They know they're dealing with somebody that knows what they're doing.
Right. So you're qualifying them, getting their reason why, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's motivating them to do this, and get more detail, fact finding, and looking at their docs and meds. And so how do you close? Like, what's your strategy in closing? Do you recommend a plan? Tell them why. Kind of take us through what you need to say to kind of convince somebody to ultimately change plans and work with you.
Sure. I really, I try to look at them like they're my mom and dad, and I even say it. I said, guys, after I load everything in and I go over a plan with them, what I recommend to them, I say, hey, if you were my mom and dad, this is the plan that I would have you in. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and get your Medicare updated with this plan. And I'm shaking my hand, and they said, okay. They'll answer you at that time.
So you're assuming you're not asking permission. You're assuming we're going to get this started for you.
Yeah. We're going to go ahead and put this in place for you.
Okay.
And I look at them and I talk to them like they're my mom and dad. And this is the plan that I would have you in, folks.
Right.
If you're my mom and dad.
And of course you're explaining why and what makes it different. And
you're going to save this. Yeah. You're going to save that. You're going to save this on your specialist. It's only going to be, it's going to go down from $45 to $25. It's your medications. You're going to save roughly about $250 a year on your medications by moving to this plan. If I can't help them with if they don't qualify for like a low income subsidy or a extra help on their Medicare.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of times I get in front of people and they're not on their inhaler because it's $140
really?
a month for their inhaler. And then if you can find a program, where now their inhaler goes from $141 to $47 for that. You can save them a ton of money where they can actually start even think about being able to afford it again.
Right. Wow.
And cool. They are definitely your client after that. If you can keep them healthy and keep them being able to afford the medication they need to be able to live longer.
Right. So you close the deal, but as you know, and as well as I know, it's not over. It ain't over yet. Right. You got to keep what you sell. And I think what makes Medicare Advantage and really any Medicare sales unique from final expense sales is that you need to keep the person who sold final expense to on the books too. But the Medicare, we want to keep them on for years. So I wanted to talk to you about your retention strategy. How do you keep what you sell so that you make the most that you can?
Sure. Yeah. Playing defense is what one of the guys called it in our group. It's playing defense. You got it in this in Medicare world. You have to be able to play defense just as good as you're playing offense and making the sell. So kind of my retention plan right now is on my dual clients, which is somebody that has Medicare and Medicaid, and then on my LIS clients, which is the clients with low income subsidy or extra help with their Medicare. They're getting back their 148.50. It's kind of the same plan for the retention. We're going to call them once a quarter. We're going to mail them a card of some kind at the beginning of the quarter. We're going to do odd holiday cards, like Thanksgiving card, not a Christmas card, or a Veterans Day card, or the 4th of July's and the Christmases. They're already getting bombarded with those from
Mildred probably would love Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Valentine's Day is a good one. We're also going to do over the counter reminders by either text messages or voicemail drops. So so most of these plans come with some type of over the counter benefit, whether it be $25 to, some of the plans have, $150 a month and they're over the counter benefit.
Yeah.
We're going to send out reminders, to utilize their over the counter benefit. Because I don't know how many clients that I've gone in and talked to that they have $50 every 3 months to spend on their over the counter goods and they don't use it.
Right.
So we're going to remind them that that's there and that's going to be there for them. So that's going to keep me in front of them, at least in their mind that, hey, this guy's looking out for me.
Right.
We're also going to do voicemail drops and text message drops at the end of the quarter. And if we have their email, which some of the folks don't have email in this, but we're going to email them at least once a quarter. That's on my LIS and dual clients. And then it's pretty similar on just my clients that are just MAPD clients that don't get extra help or dual. But it's a call once a quarter. It's an over the counter reminder, a holiday card, and an email every month if we have their email. Playing that defense and making sure that they're going to remember you by getting a small message on their phone or a card from you in the mail. It's easily a good dime to spend because it's not going to. It's the cost involved is not going to be that much if you lose them. If you lose the client, you stop the income from that.
Right.
The little cost that it will cost you to keep them is good to do.
So 2 more questions for you. You and I talked where we started about your $1 million residual goal. Yes. And there's nothing better, ladies and gentlemen, especially if you're a man of your word, to get up on my channel or just public and tell people you care about what your goals are, because nothing makes you follow through better than publicly stating what matters to you and what your goals are. So John mentioned it. And of course, I'm going to let him tell us about his goal and what his plans are to get there, because I think with John's work ethic that this is absolutely within the realm of possibility. So take it away on $1 million. What's your goal there?
I will get to $1 million in renewals. That is something that I will do. I'm very confident in that.
What's the deadline?
Deadline is within 5 years.
So we'll be back 2026, end of the year, and John's gonna be making 80,000 plus a month.
Yes. Yeah. And a big tip for you guys that's out there is let your if you don't have big goals like I have, but make sure that your reps that you're working with right now knows what your goals is. It might be, hey, I just got to get to 100 this year. Make sure they know that because they're going to bend over backwards to help you do that. I make sure every single one of my reps, they're probably tired of hearing it, but I make sure that they know, guys, I'm after $1 million in renewals. I'm going to write over 3,000 policies and keep them on the books.
You know how little they probably hear that too? Like, oh my God, somebody who says they're doing it and they're on their way. Like, I want that guy on my team, especially when they see that you're working through it. It's like, we got a winner here, guys. Let's take care of this guy.
But yeah, we're my goal this year is we're going to write 1,000 this year. With the team that I put together right now, I only have one team member, but he's very, very good at it. We might bring somebody else on to help make sure that I'm in, or we're booking 60 appointments a week, because I'm going to work 6 days a week.
Okay.
There's going to be some weeks that I might only work 5 days, but it's 5 to 6 days a week, and it's 10 minimum per day. So we're gonna run into those that might stand me up, but we're gonna have plenty to do.
Sure.
And with basically with AEP, I always count my year. So my year already started on October 15th.
Okay.
So far I've written 265 for AEP. During OEP, I'm going to write 100 a month. And I am not happy with my AEP. And my goal was 300 and I missed it. And my money goal was 100 grand and I missed that by $8,000.
Right.
If everything stays put. So I missed my goals. And so now I'm going to have to make up for it. So we're actually going to write 335 during OEP. And then after the OEPs, my plan of attack after OEPs, we're going to pay attention to the weather. If we have bad weather in one of the states that I'm working in, we're going to make sure we're dropping that state to be working outside of OEP.
And why does that matter?
Well, because so they have special election periods for weather. If weather interrupted the 3 months that you're of OEP, they could possibly put extend that OEP or extend that out to where you can use a special election period for weather.
Yep.
So you can help that senior that can't get help for another full year. It might be let's call it April, and we're outside of OEP, and now you can still help that senior take advantage of lowering their prescription drug cost, or helping them on their cost on their copays. Now you can do that with a special election period. And then outside of OEP, I work the low income the LIS leads pretty heavily. So we're going to write 330 during OEP. So we're going to go into outside of OEP with hopefully about 600 clients that we've written. And I can kick my feet up and only write 400 after that. So, which is easy.
Taking it easy, just 400 in a couple months. So.
Yeah.
So great.
That's the rest after that.
That's awesome to hear. So final question before we wrap this up. A lot of agents want to do what you're doing. Absolutely. What advice would you give them on duplicating the kind of success that you've done? Imagine somebody getting started. Where would you tell them to go? What would you tell them to do in order to get to this point where they're writing this much within their first year?
So brand new to the business, I would tell you to start writing final expense, at least for, 6 months, maybe to a year. But if they've already been doing that, I would tell everybody not to be afraid to invest your own money. You've got to, if you're a Subway sandwich shop, you've got to pay for your bread, and your bread is your leads. Invest in your leads, invest in your time. Make sure you have the right upline, like what I have with Dave, and a good, with 360 Financial helping you on the leads. Make sure that you, like I said, invest in you. I go to 4 states. Don't be afraid to travel. If you're gonna write what I write, you're gonna have to travel. You're gonna have to spend a night or two in a hotel, and then hit it hard in the morning and run. And just keep writing. Big thing I would tell everybody: just invest in yourself and start buying leads and let it start piling up, and keep working those leads. If you don't get them to pick up, call them next week. You don't get them to pick up next week, call them the week after. They'll eventually pick up. Go door knock them. You're unemployed unless you have somebody in your face. So, what I used to say in the car business, either a phone in your ear or a customer in your face, get after it, guys. I mean, that's kind of my main strategy, is just make sure that I'm in front of people on the hour, every hour.
It's not too complex, right? You just see a lot of people. Buy a lot of the right leads. I would assume you would agree direct mail is where we should be at on the Medicare side, right? And just keep your head down. And before you know it, it'll be 5 years later and you'll be making $1 million passive. And time flies, I tell you what. So, well, John, I appreciate it, man. This has been great. And guys, if you're interested in the Medicare side of the business, like John has said, we do it. I work with John. John works with me. He's a great producer, great friend of mine. And I'm very happy to have you on, John, to explain this. And if you guys are interested to learn more, just head over to daviddufour.com/Medicare-Advantage. There's a good overview video about the business there, kind of built on what we talked about today. Or you can just go to daviddufour.com/contact and reach out to me, and I'll be happy to kind of give you some information, set up a one-on-one time if you're interested to talk about Medicare. John, thanks so much. Enjoyed it. See you.
All right. Thank you.